If you close your eyes and cross yourself, and in general, it can be said that people believe Earth is 5 million years old. Of course, figuratively, for even naming Pithecanthropus 200,000 years old wolves are hard for the rulers of the planet. But suppose man still dominates the Earth, these same 5 million years, even at an exaggerated figure of 36 times less time gap, whose planet was ruled by dinosaurs and no longer really dominated the Earth. Without a doubt, multi-ton carcasses to this day bring researchers to ecstasy, and for the simple people serve as a source of interest from respect for their history. In the coming few minutes, we'll try to knock everything down, everything you need to know about dinosaurs. Video, of course, here will not be all, but still briefly on the key point dinosaur history we will go through and start our journey is about 250 million years ago in the yard, the beginning of the Mesozoic, which can be roughly translated as savor, age, life, and yet not so much. After all, just recently the Great Permian Extinction, the largest in Historyland, when 96% of the marine species and 73% of vertebrates arrived. Only extinction where underdistribution hit even seemingly immortal insects. About the causes of extinction, Story still fighting so far. The main Winnesh hypotheses in collision with colossal size of a meteorite and volcanic activity that led to greenhouse effect atmospheric change and the turbo volcanic winter which could last decades and face extinction land lost popularno trilobites, inspiring horror screenwriters. But for us, the important thing is that after extinction at the beginning Mesozoic, when the situation stable is it in the ground, it became quite spacious. New species did not meet competition and appeared like mushrooms. This period called the Triassic, and it will last somewhere 50 million years, ended plus or minus 200 million years ago. In addition to Spa, Cythera was another one near the land for settlement. Life, huge continent Pangaea, which just started to crack. Migrating as a species was a breeze, and all over the earth animals walked and plants with minimal difference as there were no polar caps at all. And the climate and called reptiles to elevate was very hot and dry, and the skin of reptiles loses little moisture and saves kidney water as rabid competition. As we mentioned, the minimum for the largest living populations make up mollusks up to ammonites, which, as you understand, reptiles compete so in generalo evolving. I don't want that's how it turned out that while the shooting gallery of the apes is our distant ancestors with the first signs of mammals, reptiles died out, evolved it. Funny because who knows how unfolded will the history of global warming precisely. The crumbs of those who survived the extinction of tier birds become the ancestors of mammals and people. Happen it used to be Histori Humani. Tie could start differently. Muted turned out how it happened, and the reptiles survived explosion appeared archosaurs, from which he assured dinosaurs, and at the same time ethics and flying lizards and good old crocodiles that survived to the present. Archosaurs quickly ousted harmless herbivorous leaf taking away, who managed for a short time become the dominant species on the planet. Tricky because species for the most part predatory reptiles. Look at crocodile, increase it in size times in 3, and you will understand why peaceful animals there was no chance. Somewhere 225 million years ago, the first archosaurs came out. Dinosaurs. It is believed that this happened in territory of South America. One of the oldest excavation is the old man behind ver small growth of only 80 centimeters baby, but insanely nimble enough long because an individual can reach 2 meters. Moved beauties on the back paws and the front ones. According to tradition, where small also according to another tradition, dinosaur bones 100 enemy orders were complete is very important because thanks to hollow bones, even with a huge dinosaurs weighed less than may seem like an example. Usefulness does not have to go far. Take a look at living dinosaurs, birds like his ancestor in hollow bones or tubular, which helps them to fly. From other interesting examples to this time appear Retarace VR, whose weight could already reach up to half a ton. But the scheme remained same relatively barely. But guests' long tail and love for meat tooth name of the first dinosaur is claimed, and a raptor collapsed to sick weighing about 10 kg. But in general, whoever first, almost all dinosaurs original I descended from a group of sauropod podomorphs with similar structure. The key point is only in that initially mainly appeared predatory individuals. Long neck and herbivores appeared later with the development of herbivorous dinosaurs in general considered more advanced. In terms of vision of biology, guys, but what really matters to us is the fact that Dominator Mai in that area of dinosaurs is not named. Even huge crocodiles are better suited for this position. Triassic period dinosaurs were one of the many who fought for a place under sun and there were no more than 2% of the total animal fauna. Denouement came about 200 million years ago, with the beginning of the Jurassic period. Traditionally, another is involved in the case extinction. They call it Thriosago your skinfer, as it is easy to guess from extinction placed on the border between two periods. About the reasons, as always, connected disputes, and again volcanoes are involved in climate change, but the consequences are that direct competitors dinosaurs Curatips died out, and with them and about half of the currently known species dinosaurs miraculously survived, and it was from this period began their total domination. It was accompanied by several important processes, first splitting Thymphangea into two continents, which led to different conditions in respectively different populations in different points of the planet. In the second was accompanied the process of splitting numerous volcanic eruptions. They threw out a wild amount carbon dioxide, which never dreamed of supporter of the anthropogenic global warming, and who on Earth feeds carbon dioxide, all right plant along the way due to the formation of new mare and water masses increased rains. They also helped plants. Terra ferns finally grew up to huge sizes of their words. Many off plants of this period are fossils that are currently active and for fuel for dinosaur sloth competitors. It was a gift over a band of Zauer, who Sweat mentioned earlier gave birth to present monsters in 2018. In South Africa found sauropod morph weighing 12 tons. Predatory species in the early Jurassic II started to show gigantism, but not yet so mobile. Vegetation caused boom, and herbivores, for example, appeared from the target too for the time, who is considered by many to be ancestor Stegosaurus, 4-meter master, ate grass, and was already covered with small thorns to protect against predators. Interesting inhabitants of this area as children of Redondosaurus, being 1.5 meters. The guy didn't stand out in height, but the differentiated teeth and incisors and chewing teeth and even fangs, which is especially strange given that consider Hediontosaurus herbivore. But perhaps the main feature of the early Jurassic period, steel pterosaurs, flying lizards, appeared at the same time terrestrial dinosaurs, but where exactly scientists have not been able to find. There are almost no intermediate species. It is important for us that somewhere 190 million years ago pterosaurs began to feed babies and actively stand out in new species. Pterosaurs ate mostly living creatures from Mary. Actually, the majority paleontologists agree that dinosaurs on learned to fly in order to hunt sea animals. One of the classic representatives is Doriconace, with a wingspan of 1.5 meters. To his teeth dinosaurs will envy, for they were curved and long, of course for the sake of to make it easier to catch dodgy fish. Evolved that herbivore, that carnivorous, that flying good at an accelerated pace, and somewhere around 150 million years ago, dinosaurs made up more than half of the inhabitants of the animal world. Of course, an insane amount of food, lack of competitors, and gigaton oxygen produced by huge plants led to gigantism, and towed middle of the Jurassic period saw the light on fence familiar to many. For example, 100 tons kids Diplodocus, or 2-ton heavily armed Stegosaurus. In addition to protective shields, it is famous for the fact that with a huge mass, his brain weighed only 70 grams, is really not a joke. Scientists have discovered that the spinal cord Stegosaurus contained more neural tissue than a head act. He indefinitely helped Peto perform some functions. Was also 20-meter Brachiosaurus with crazy long neck that helped him eat where there are smaller animals reached out. Here appeared an ancestor Tyrannosaurs in the Carnivore family. Terra under 160 million years ago. Walk at 3-meter Guangong. A little later than him replaced a Dylan with a similar structure. Inhabits but in a Tyrannosaurus rex is Giddos, not evolved soon, but the birds already fussed and turned into Archaeopteryx. Is the first flying lizard covered with feathers and considered a bridge between dinosaurs and modern birds. In the middle of the Jurassic period took place an important moment for human. A tiny mouse-like mammals with might and main shared the planet with dinosaurs, not compete directly. It turned out, however, a tiny Jurassic may successfully gave birth and fed children with milk right under the feet of the dinosaurs. Saw let the history of mankind be shorter. Ancestors still live these side by side with Diplodocus my and 145 million years ago. Together with them met the beginning of the Cretaceous period on Earth. By this time there have been massive changes. Continents almost completely divided, even though they were not on places familiar to us. Is important because ethos dinosaur populations developed under limited conditions planes to cross the ocean. Brontosaurus, and unfortunately not invented. And talking about dinosaurs represent that all species met in driving. In reality, dinosaurs of course immigrated, but the main populations are still were tied to certain geographical points. For example, the remains Stegosaurus of were found in the USA, and this one dinosaur is even officially a symbol of the state of Colorado, but in reality the highest concentration of Stegosaurus lived in East Asia. We will turn to these a little later, and back to Historinote that at the beginning of the Cretaceous period Dinosaur gigantism peaked. At this time lived one of the largest species in the history of each vertebra. Amphitargets in the length was more than 2 meters, body in general was more than 60 meters, and a mass of babies reached 120 tons per family of predators. Also has a shift. In Africa lived Carcharodontosaurus, 12 meters in length and up to 10 tons in weight, which quite a lot for a predator in the Cretaceous period. Began a real explosion on the number of individuals. For a long time scientists attributed this to the development of flowering in the Cretaceous period. Bees appeared and pollinating plants, insects, but latter dinosaur diversity explosion theory Cretaceous period was refuted, and now scientists agree that most species appeared before. At this time increased all directly in the number of individuals. So what we have 100 million years appeared in the north of Africa, largest carnivorous dinosaur in history. It is the Spinosaurus that holds this title, despite the fact that Tyrannosaurs were a little heavier in length. The baby could reach up to 16 meters, which is several meters more. Famous rival Orsildes Tyrannosaurus, by the way, appeared much later. They are generally almost the most young species of dinosaurs. For the most ancient remains date back 70 million years back. The same can be said for both everyone's favorite Velociraptor. They too appeared plus or minus in 80 million years back. Well, insanely popular in Triceratops, and in general almost the most dinosaur species. For the latest skeletons dated to 68 million years back. So ironically, the most popular dinosaurs from the Park movie series Jurassic period actually appeared much later in the Cretaceous, and they looked completely different. Scientists have recently agreed that bodies of almost all dinosaurs were covered cheerful plumage, and many scientists now believe that velociraptors were more like walking birds than the lizards from the movies. But what up to Cretaceous period? It not go on as usual. The ground was getting a little cooler, and at the poles one could even meet snow due to the split of the continents and their drift from each other. Climate in different parts of light was different, which again triggered the evolution of species depending on the territories. For example, from dinosaurs finally separated birds, and a transitional link between Speciarchaeopteryx and extinct pterodactyls still dominated there, which is no wonder because the wingspans of individuals like Quetzalcoatl could be as much as 15 meters. These guys and considered the largest Arthur dinosaurs in history. Several competitors, but this is our paleontology, and not our concern is our scare history. And from this point of view it is worth noting the snakes, they are together with lizards, appeared in the Cretaceous period and survived to the present, where virtually unchanged planet, and turtles reduced in the size of crocodiles, and of course fish. Truth is again on the sidelines for the sedently occupied by dinosaurs. Kids Ellis Mazaviar and selected up to 15 tons of Ichthyosaur from Plesiosaurus might not lag too far behind. But for us the most main thing is that by the end of the Cretaceous period mammals have already divided into marsupial, placidal, and egg-laying. About 87 million years ago already first monkeys and semi-monkeys appeared, and it is believed that ancient primates are more likely all appeared in the rainforests of Asia, later settled around the world. Temporary estimates of the appearance of distant ancestors. People are constantly moving, but it is possible to say with confidence that at the time Tyrannosaurus monkeys already climbed on trees, but like dinosaurs in their to even dream of domination by mammal scoldant, and it's not even a giant snake dinosaurs. On the contrary, the matter isn't their variety, for besides gigantic there were a bunch of medium and tiny dinosaurs occupying all niches. Scientists had been trying to classify them for a long time, comes out even then with difficulty because of the constant discoveries, but still no structure available. Initially there are two attachment of dinosaurs with lizard thighs and dinosaurs with bird thighs and cytoguys with hips. Lizard separate F suborder is theropods, they moved on two legs and were mostly raptors. Tyrannosaurs classes example theropods were true omnivores, and even herbivorous theropods, for example Therizinosaurus Tyrannosaurus, and from this suborder and there is information familiar to everyone that Tyrannosaurus rex is the ancestor of the modern chicken, partly true because recently scientists and they carry boats not only chickens but all modern birds due to similarities in structure. But what about quantity? Theropods out of the total number of dinosaurs was about 35% to suborder of dinosaurs with lizard Thysaurus podmorphs as we mentioned, Itone of the oldest varieties dinosaurs and one of the most recognizable because we are Diplodocus and Brontosaurus and Brachiosaurus, and originally the dinosaurs of this groups were small bipedal predators or omnivores but later turned intelligent herbivorous monsters to hunt in, which even the inveterate ones did not like predators. As far as dinosaurs with birdships, their main and most studied suborder Arnie then under and what rough can translate like bird's foot, classic an example of Arnie then having filed a famous iguanodon weighing 15 tons and the most large individuals under the detachment could reach and 20 being mostly herbivores like the guys from the next suborder Stegosaurus. In them is easy to guess that hair classic representative is the Stegosaurus and the main feature of the plate suborder located along the body. Next suborder Ankylosaurus and boniformations on the body are also their feature. The largest representative Escold reach a SS of 6 tons. Last suborder of ceratodogs is also familiar to everyone along the horned armored Strethomonimus dinosaura or so. Ceratodogs are mistakenly referred to as Velociraptor because of similar names, but do not forget that tiny predators, as expected, does not apply to ceratodogs. Okay, suborder predatory container under there are dozens of families, hundreds of genera and thousands of individuals that scientists still cannot classify. Therefore, going deep into the jungle is not so important. Just remember that dinosaurs are at their peak accounted for up to 70% of all life on the planet of absolutely everywhere, including Antarctica, which was then quite green continent. In 1986 on James Ross's land, Antarctica found the remains of the Antarctic opal Yormid Ankylosaurus, proudly Australia's other continent, Isostral Obinatar, and other predatory pteranodon which archaeologists in speed compared with a cheetah and generally called enlarged, more deadly version Velociraptor. South America also have something to be proud of, if only because the first dinosaurs came out of here. Therefore, the title of paleontologist, there is an honorable excavation conducted on an ongoing basis and led to the discovery of guys like Argentinosaurus and of the largest dinosaurs in stories weighing up to 100 tons in Europe. And there is also something to brag about because great work has been done on Archaeopteryx. My ancestors of modern continent has birds and nominal Europe is over capable of causing tenderness because heis one of the smallest codes weighing hundreds of times Diplodocus, most popular dinosaur, and Asiate's tiny to Velociraptor, which because of the movies for some reason, they consider the inhabitants of America's giant Spinosaurus, which we also mentioned earlier. He actually comes from Africa, and one of the best surviving skeletons was found during World War II about the inhabitants of the Northern America dinosaurs perhaps mentioned, and we won't be here for you, and the T-Rex and Triceratops and Diplodocus Stegosaurus and other equally popular dinosaurs. Actually, there is a whole site where you can ride your city and see what it looked like in the world map hundreds of millions of years ago and get to know the dinosaurs who lived nearby. Specifically about them, it is better to learn on highly specialist channels like a stone paleontologist. They're on biology and dinosaur chips-based whole commercials, but as our specialization history, and we will move on to next stage in the life of dinosaurs. Ice, of course, extinction, popular cultural ways trying to make things simple. So in the minds of most, extinction dinosaurs is a crazy meteorite, nuclear winter, and finishing off survivors in there, but in reality, as always, a little more difficult. Yes, somewhere 65 million years ago, a giant meteorite fell to Earth. Opaque hints at 180 kilometers Chicxulub B crater in the Yucatan Peninsula. Due to its huge size without satellites, aerial filming discover it not possible. Therefore, newest long time period scientists were not aware of soil samples, and simulations confirmed the fact of the fall meteorite and its terrifying power. Effect impact was 2 million times higher than the most powerful ever invented atomic bombs. Harry, honest shock waves circled the Earth several times around. World began to erupt, volcanoes burned forests, and nature went crazy for a few years. Night rained on the planet due to the fallen temperature without sunlight as well as soot and hairy plants. Algae had a hard time, and even harder those who ate them, and about those who ate plants in general. we are silent. Many species have become extinct animals and plants, so no wonder dinosaurs are attributed. There is only one inconsistency here. Excavations show that by the end of the Cretaceous period, long before the meteorite speed appearance of many types of dinosaurs less than the rate of their disappearance. To example of Zavra and Sarah dogs already were on the decline. That is, already dying out. Parallel excavations claim that greatest increase in diversity at the end Cretaceous period was observed in mammals, and it turns out that they are already slowly crushed the dinosaurs as well. Another plus minus happened at this, to me, most powerful series of eruptions ladders, with the final chord plus or minus. And this time in the air has decreased the amount vegetation has less oxygen. Temperature began to storm from warming to cooling due to volcanism. Ended up scientists orange extinction divided into three camps supporting Tawari asteroid volcanism. Environmental reasons for supporters asteroid arguments seem the most killer. Layers of clay coinciding intim with the death of dinosaurs. Anomalous amount of uridium metal born in volcanism. Supporters in space shows a short-term cooling. It was replaced by warming long before meteorite impact usually happens due to eruptions. But environmentalists do not forget. Remember that flowering plants. The Cretaceous period was replaced by ferns and without any meteorites, so why not? Lane does not occur in the animal environment. Theories line up the most unusual, starting from the fact that mammals ate dinosaur eggs and ending funny study demonstrating because of climate change and dinosaurs only males could be born. Seems crazy, but only at first look. After all, some species of turtles dying right before our eyes in the example of living creatures. Scientists proved that the incubation temperature directly affects the gender of the born turtles. By the end of the century, 93% baby green turtles will be female. Situation opposite dinosaurum. Viewed it as obvious that with such an imbalance, turtle population will decrease by several times. Then same thing could happen to giants. Like anyway, research show that dinosaur dominance began to descend on and before the meteorite, and recent light voices of scientists are getting louder, declaring that a stone from outer space has become more like a nail in the coffin of dinosaurs, but not the determining factor. Otherwise, you have to explain why even small dinosaurs became extinct, which are from mammals not in size. Adaptation to survival is not particularly different. Perhaps the most reinforced concretive argument is that global extinctions in the history of the Earth, there were immediately 5, a small and even more, and some have been studied thoroughly. And just to read the result of a combination of factors like a change in the pressure of volcanoes, motion, acidity, and climate. So why dinosaurs should have died instantly and in 1 second is also important. Remember that even the most accurate measurement now gives an error in percentage, and when we talk about events that happened millions of years ago, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of years of error. For anything can happen, and most likely the process of extinction dinosaurs was complex and began for a dozen different reasons overlapping each other. Of course, a meteorite and volcanoes also played their part role, but not so that both megacities and dinosaur cities teeming with life were wiped off the face of the earth for a few, and then what we call instant. From the point of view of history, has been going on for so long that whole history of mankind can be multiplied by 100 and it will still fit into the frame. Statistical error, so that when technology will accurate enough to rush loud statements about the causes of extinction, dinosaurs are definitely not worth it, and worth it. Respect for dominate the earth on a 500 million years is very strongly. Some facts about dinosaurs before still unknown to the general public and amaze the imagination. See the gas Tyrannosaurus rex from each other friend was separated by more time than Tyrannosaurus rex from you and me. What up some life expectancy? Paleontologists believe that larger dinosaurs could live in peace at 1200 years. It is not surprising that when people found the first remains of huge reptiles, they were considered the remains ancient giants in China dinosaurs, and could even become a source of myths about dragons. But in modern times they serve a reminder to mankind that our so-called domination of the planet is a joke by historical standards. Of course, we didn't breed well, but even for a couple of thousand years, natural and social cataclysms are good for humanity. Battered, can we live at least a tenth of the dinosaur life? We will glad to see your answer to the question in comments, but for now we have everything up to new meetings friends.